Hello, my beautifuls, lovelies, amazings, and wonderfuls, and beloveds. I am, bringing you large and in charge from, look at this, the Brulette Farm. And isn't this beautiful? The beautiful change of season. And I know the lighting isn't the greatest, but we're going to keep crack-a-lacking and doing this slow crawl through this beautiful book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, Excuses Be Gone. And this is a book on how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits. So what are we doing? We are in chapter 4, part 2. So part 2 is we've been laying down all the excuses. We kind of have it vomited out. We're going to clean it up and we're going to restore it. So we are going to pick up where we left off in chapter 4, the first principle. And when you do get a chance, hit like, hit subscribe, and leave your positive comments. I'm so thankful for them, and I so look forward to hearing from you. Okay, so here we go. Let me share with you how awareness has been such a boom for me personally, as I've changed some long-held thinking patterns. In the opening chapters of this book, I described two big excuses, genetic and mimetic. The many of us use to explain away what appears to be our failure to change the habits that plague us. As I read The Biology of Belief, that's by Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you haven't read it, please do. The phrase perception controls genes kept attracting me. It triggered something in me that I hadn't considered before. The idea that the way I think about and perceive my world can overcome my DNA and my genetic inheritance. This means that I can rewrite my internal circuitry and process physical or health problems from an entirely new perspective, and that's for all of us. If I were to stay unaware of my built-in ability to influence my genetic programming, I'd be stuck believing that those things were out of my control. Did you hear that? If he continued to stay unaware of his built-in ability to influence his genetic programming, he would be stuck. And he would continue to think it was out of his control. But somebody that I'm coaching, I was telling them, and sometimes God can do things instantly, but sometimes the miracle takes time. And sometimes faith is like a muscle that has to be developed. So I want to encourage you that if you're in some kind of valley of bullshit, like you're just going through hell, as Churchill would say, keep on going and believe for the bigger possibilities. So I have been increasingly aware that my mind has power over my environment, which means that when my body is off track, it's because my beliefs are off track. All my life, I've heard that the one thing you can't change is your DNA, and I've always nodded in agreement. With my current awareness of power of perception, however, a whole new world has opened for me, and that world can open for you. It's for all of us. For example, I have a history of infection and discomfort in my chest and bronchial area, and I've tended to feel that this is an area of weakness to be concerned about. A minor sore throat appears, which proceeds to some coughing that then produces green phlegm, followed by some difficulty breathing, and I head out to purchase some antibiotics and go through the same old process until the infection and discomfort ultimately disappears. Yet since doing the research for this book, part of which involves putting into practice what I've learned and writing about, I've moved into a new mental state, and I now encourage myself to apply awareness rather than my old routine. And I seem to skip over those days of discomfort and annoying antibiotics. And that's all of us. Change your mind, change your life, right? So in fact, I'm approaching everything about my body with a new awareness. Rather than first reverting to ways I've used in the past to process early signs of a physical malady. And these days, I shift to a level that allows me to mentally suspend my ego and even my body. So you get that? We can mentally suspend our ego and our bodies and our minds. And this is something I want to encourage you. Like I said, faith sometimes is a muscle that has to be developed. You need to walk the walk. But as you do, you begin to see the fruits of your faith, the fruits of your manifestation, the fruits of your imagination. You begin to realize, wow, I really am a creator in the universe. God really did make me this unique individual, part of God, coming from God, going back to God, and that I have way more in this creation process than I gave myself credit for. And it's not gave myself credit for from an ego stance, but it's in that encouraging point that wherever I am, I can make a difference in my life. I don't have to stay stuck in any hell realm or poop hole. Okay, so in fact, I'm approaching everything about my body with a new awareness. Rather than first reverting to ways I've used in the past to process early signs of a physical malady, these days I shift to a level that allows me to mentally suspend my ego and even my body. And then I tell myself something along these lines. So if your heart can receive this, your mind can receive this, please do. My perception and beliefs control my environment, my body, which is the environment for all illnesses, my genetic structure, and my DNA. I have the power to see the situation differently than I used to. Inherent within me is the power to create an inner environment that isn't susceptible to illness or disease. Do you hear that? Within each and every one of us, we have the power to see the situation differently, and we have an inherent power within us that God gave us to create an inner environment that is not susceptible to illness or disease. And when I know that I have an option of awareness, I am able to send away a possible painful episode. And what's so beautiful about this as well is that if we're going to multiply or be some type of infection, let's infect each other with health, wealth, love, and all levels of possibility, peace. Let's spread good things to one another. And just know that you have the power to do that. You have the power to spread the good things. You also have the power to spread the bad things. But we know spreading the bad things is ultimately going to come back to bite you in the booty. So that's not us. We are higher order beings, and we are living our life according to common sense, God's values, the universe's higher principles, because we know hurt people hurt. So we're not out there doing that. So I want to thank you so much for joining me out in the beautiful farm. Look at that fall. It's so beautiful. And I just want to, I know, excuses be gone. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and leave your positive comment. I would be nothing without you, and we are one. So thank you. And you know what comes next? You know what comes next? Peace in, peace out.